Okay. Okay. I'm giving you this fast recap because I want to bring you into the picture of where we're at. So it's the 76 was more. Oh, so Eliyahu's told, I don't work with the fire. God says, I'm not in the fire. I'm not in the wind. I'm not in the noise. I'm called them at a cat, a very, very imperceptible sound. Good? Well, you all know this. Everybody knows all of this. So that being the case, by the way, when Eliyahu was told that, what does it mean? Does anybody remember what we said in at the end of the winter? What did we say is really going on with Eliyahu? Does anybody remember? When Hashem tells I'm not in the fire, what does it mean about what happened with Eliyahu's display at Carmel?
That was not God's doing.
That's right. I'm not in the fire. I'm not in this, right? It was Eliyahu's. And Eliyahu saw himself, right? He was expert with chemicals and with all of those kind of things. And we know he knew how to do CPR. We know he knew how to purify water. We knew he knew how to do, it was brilliant. And he knew how to make fires. And that scene, he says, put the water, do it again, and all of that is really, of course, that he made the fire. The reason I'm bringing this up is because related to what I want to talk about now. Eliyahu, we say, did not do the fire. God didn't do it. No fire came down from heaven. What fell down was the fire that Eliyahu caused. Now, Eliyahu is he's a great prophet. And he is telling God, everybody's dead, right? I'm the last prophet left. She, Jezebel, that lowlife, has killed everybody. I'm the last guy left. It's the end of us. We're finished. I should let them get away with it. And I always say, does he have a good claim? I think he has a great claim. I'm the only guy. He's very sincere. He's very honest. She's a foreign Lebanese queen of Israel. What's the matter? She's Lebanese, right. But she's Jewish from Lebanon, right? Our controller is a Lebanese Christian, right? So in any event, she's from Sor, she's Bat Sor, and she's coming to kill him. She's coming to kill him. She's not coming to stop him politically. She's coming to murder him. And they have successfully, everybody else is dead. So he says, in other words, he did what he did because he has no choice. But God says, I'm not in the fire. He describes all the things that Eliyahu did. God says, I'm not there. It means he wasn't there. That's correct.
The narrator says it.
The narrator says, yeah.
God wasn't.
And it wasn't all those things. And therefore, God's acts are imperceptible, meaning you see God's acts only over time. And I brought that as an example for when you get to 76, because 76 recounts history. Now, nobody ever said in the last 2,000 years anything about the 76 Mizmor being a historical recap. And we spend a significant amount of the commentary in volume 2 on the 76 Mizmor, explaining in detail how it's a historical recap of a time when things were unbelievable, both in the north and in the south. In the south, in Yehuda, in Jerusalem, there's one priest. All the priests are a bunch of gas cases, all of them. This is 150 years before the destruction, maybe more than 150 years before the destruction, before 586, way back. And all the doors are closing. I'll put on the AC. Just 1 second.
You warmed up already?
It's fine. I'm about to take off the jacket.
I told you.
9 minutes. Okay. So his name is Yehoiada. He's the priest in the south, a priest in the south, who saves the king, the young king. He's 7 years old. His grandmother, her name is Atalia, the only queen in Israel, Jewish, only queen. She kills everybody in her family, even her grandchildren.
Nice.
So that she should become queen. Very sweet girl. She's a sweetie pie. She slaughters her own family. That way she can get to become queen, except for one child, Yehoash, who is saved by his aunt Yehosheba. She takes the child, goes to the temple, finds Yehoiada, and tells him, hide us. He's the heir to the throne, the Davidic throne. And Yehoiada the priest, Yehosheba the aunt, Yehoash the king. Sound familiar when I say the names?
Yeah. A lot of Yehovah.
That's right. Their names are all, her name is not Elisheva. Her name is not Bathsheba. Her name is Yehosheba. There's only 3 women who have that name, right? One is the high priest's wife, right? Elisheva, my goddess 7. David's wife, Bathsheba, who is married to the guy that he got rid of, right? After the adulterous affair. So her name is the daughter of 7, and she is Yud Keh 7, right? Giving her.
And we had Aharon also.
That's what I said. I said it, Elisha. I just said that. We're talking about the women. So she, Yehosheba, saves the king whose name is Yehoash, right? And who does the saving? Who's the priest that does all of this and hides them in the temple grounds? His name is Yehoiada, right? Which means Yud Keh, Vav, and then Yada, Nu. No, there are other people with that name. I didn't say no. I said in this story, all of the protagonists in this story, 3 people: the king, the priest, the aunt, and the king, right? All have that name. I didn't say unique. No, nobody has the name Sheva except those 3 women. That I did say. In any event, I'm just recapping this to say that priest who stands there, does everybody remember what he did? What did he do when the king becomes of age? Yehoiada leads a rebellion, gets the soldiers the palace soldiers to stay with him and to rebel against Talia. And when he gets the palace soldiers, they tell him, where are we going to get weapons from? And he says, I have David's original weapons in the basement. He has his old arsenal that, of course, they never threw away, and they always kept because it's David, it's special stuff. And he gets all of the swords and shields and bows and everything. He has it's all stored in the temple in a storage area, and he gives all of those weapons out, and they overthrow Atalia. They kill her, and Yehoash becomes king. When Yehoash becomes king, he tells the priests to just 1 second. He tells the priests. Just 1 minute. Sorry. Okay. Yeah. So he goes to the priests. He has a meeting. He's now the king. And Lee, do you remember what he tells them? No. He tells them, the temple looks horrible. Fix it up. Place is falling apart. Walls, floors, ceilings, everything is a horban, right? Looks like one of these homes in New Jersey that hasn't been touched for a long time. So he waits an extended amount of time. He comes in and he says, "What'd you do? There's not a thing done. They don't care. They treat the temple like it's a slaughterhouse. And it's a vehicle for making money. Exactly. So they make a lot of money, priests. So it's reflective of what kind of a situation they were living with, that the king, he's the political leader, says, you leave the place like this. We're talking about the Beit Mikdash in Jerusalem, the Beit Mikdash, right? The temple, not some shul somewhere. So what happens? Yehoiada comes up with an idea. He takes a box, puts a hole in the top. I write about that. I've said this before. He makes the first pack. Only it's a big box with a hole in the top to put money. And what does it say on the box? Beit HaMikdash Building Fund. Right? A building fund. Now, when the people are coming in to visit the temple, the thing is filling up with money, tons of money. Tons, because the people are very, very giving, building fund, but it's not a building fund for a synagogue, it's a building fund for the temple in Jerusalem. Remember, people are coming from all over the country. It's the Beit HaMikdash. And it says every time the money, the box gets filled with money, what do? They open it up and they make piles of the cash that they got. And they count it. But when they count it, who counts it? The high priest, the Kohen Gadol, and who else? Does anybody remember? The king's auditor. The king sends an auditor. Now the high priest is the one who's counting the money. What's the problem if the high priest is counting? The king sounds like it's the mafia. The king sends his auditor who sits there and writes everything down and comes back to the king, and then they know how much money they had. So, and then it says after that in the story, it says, and the king, the contractor, they never had to see what the contractor was doing with the money. Now, of course, the contractor is the most dangerous guy usually got, right? You give him all the money to a contractor, you tell him do whatever you want. God help you, right? But it says the contractor would give it out to the workers, and you never have to work because the workers are working for the temple, and they would never. You don't have to worry because it's the Beit HaMikdash. Maybe if they'd be working in your home, so you have to track them, but the workers would never think to take money. That's the implication, to take money from the temple work.
As opposed to the Kohanim, who have no problem.
As opposed to the priests who have to, the priests who are the religious leaders who are taking care of the temple, you have to send an auditor. It says, but you didn't have to do any kind of auditing of when the contract gave in, because the people are all working in truth and honesty because of the temple. I always remember the story that we had a guy fixing the air conditioner in Brooklyn in Sephardic, and the guy says, he wasn't Jewish, he says, Rabbi, this is for the temple. Don't worry about it. Like, I would never do such a thing. And he was serious. It'll be fine. So that's the story. Thousands of years earlier, the same thing. They didn't have to worry because the people, that's what I said. They acted faithfully. As I quoted, yeah, you saw it. Chapter 12.
Yes.
Yeah.
The modern equivalent would be like rabbis laundering money.
Exactly.
What?
Never unheard.
So then what happens? What happens is that they save the money, and Yehoiada is successful in the rebellion, and they throw her out, and it's one of the most famous covenants. It's one of two that you see a covenant is made, and then the Jerusalem has peace for many years, 40 years, and things are great. While that story is going on, Elisha is the king in the north, and the priest in the north, the prophet in the north. You never see any priests on the scene doing anything in this period. You don't in the south, you see one priest out of all of them. It's in Jerusalem, and in the north, you see Elisha, the prophet, as the one who's functioning and keeping everything going. When I say keeping everything going, the king has no name in the chapters when they're parallel. In Kings, the stories go that this was the king, and then this was the king, and then this was the king, and he was the king in the north, and back and forth. As the stories are being told, the narratives, the king has no name in the Elisha stories. He's the one that's he maneuvers everything. So in the 76th Mizmor, we show the name of Yehoiada explicitly. We show the name of Yehoiada and the name of Elisha. No one's ever seen it for thousands of years. Their names are in there. And all of the esoteric words in there are all about the stories of Yehoiada and Elisha. Everybody with me? That's where I am now in editing in the book. The story now, it's pretty amazing because when you see it, you go, no brainer, it's there. But no one has seen it for, I'm telling you, more than 2,000 years. This is totally unknown. So it was a great discovery and very exciting for me. Very exciting. If you want, just for 10 seconds, I don't know if it'll work for you. If before we go back to what I want to discuss tonight, if you take a look at the 76 is what Ayin Vav, and you look at, you want to see where Yehoiada is the king of Yehuda, as the priest in Yehuda. Look at the opening words of the 76 Mizmor after the superscription. Can anybody read it?
Nodab
Yehuda is Yehoiada, right? In Yehuda, God is known. In Israel, his name is great. Vahi b'Shalem Sukkah, and in Jerusalem was his Sukkah, and Onator was Sion. So it's talking about the north and the south. Shama, and then it goes through the thing. And then, so Yehoiada's name is there in that form. Can anybody find Elisha's name? Elisha's name is Elisha ben Yehoshaphat. Exactly. Elisha ben Yehoshaphat. So you have Lamishpat, Elohim, and Yehoshia. Right. Anyway, it's pretty amazing. So you have Elisha, and you have all of his major stories. Which major stories? Going back to 2 Kings, all about the Aram wars. So I told you that we spoke, and that's what we spoke about at the end. I took you back now to the end of the classes where we were at, that Eliyahu, we don't think, let me say when I say we don't think, people don't do miracles. That's the premise that we approach everything with. Miracles happen. People don't do miracles. People cannot make this rise up off the table. And if someone tells you that the guy did that, he's lying if he tells you he did it. Okay, so, it's not true. It's so not true.
Shemuel in Perek Yud Bet and Shmuel Aleph, around Yud Bet and Yud Gimel, and he said, you chose a king, and now it's going to rain in the middle of the summer, and it's the harvest time, and it rains. Right? Remember that Perek over there?
I don't know why you're saying, he said it's going to rain in the middle of summer. You're talking about the Devorah story?
No, I'm talking about Shemuel is telling the people to know that you did the wrong choice. Hashem is going to cause it to rain, Geshem, and it was middle of the summertime.
Hashem is going to cause it, not the Navi.
God.
Yeah,
God. But he doesn't do anything. You're asking me about he calls the shots, correct? That's what we're going to talk about here. That's what we're going to talk about here, calling the shots, right? So one of the stories That's, but wait, I wanted to make something clear. We don't think that Eliyahu, that fire came down, actually. We don't think of any of the stories of miracles of what you would call stories that no one has ever seen before, other than these stories. Other than these stories that you read about, has anybody in the last, in recorded history, does anybody have any records or any videotapes of any miracles happening? When I say miracles, there's a zillion miracles happen. Of any miracles of that sort, Anybody?
That man did it and God did it? No.
That we know of, that we can prove, other than stories that are here, do we ever see miracles like that happen? More, anybody?
Do you want to attribute Kiryat Yam Suf?
Please, any stories?
To nature. You attribute Kiryat Yam Suf and the Ten Makot to nature?
I said since then, I'm not even wanting to
You
talk
didn't
about
say
that.
since then, but okay.
I said in modern times where you could prove something. In the last 1,000 years, do you have anybody that you know about any miracles? The last 1,500 years, do you have any miracles in recorded history? You have anything about anybody talking about any kind of
Not
miracles?
overt miracles. but-
Yes, I
Overt,
said,
okay.
I said not miracles. I said there's a million miracles happening.
Overt-
You won the war in Israel is a miracle. There's tons of miracles,
Yeah,
tons of miracles. I'm
Old
asking, I'm talking. You mean Jesus walks on water? Yeah.
All the saints.
Does anybody think he walked on the water? Right? Nobody. I mean, if anybody in this room believes that he walked on water, you could leave right now.
People
Right?
don't do miracles.
People don't do miracles.
People don't do
It's all this fantasy. The people don't come back from the dead. The
Yeah.
Jewish guys
There's
over
natural
there,
explanation for
those
these things.
early Jewish guys with Jesus, those early Jewish guys, he was a Jew, they're Jews, and they spread a story around. Oh, he came back. You know, he never came back. We never spoke to anyone. It's absurd to say that. It's absurd to say he didn't have parents. It's absurd to say this holy. It's all absurd foolishness of the first order that people walk around and say, this guy came back from the dead, and they put statues of him, and they bow down to it, and he's got, that's all silly stuff.
right.
All absurdities. Not because we're Jewish, it's absurdities, period. So we're not into any of that in any way, shape, form, or
In
manner.
fact, we're out of it.
Idolaters are into that in a big way. Idolaters, right? Idolatry. That's what idolatry teaches. It teaches, what do you call it?
Sacrifice.
No. It teaches, what is it called? I know, how do you say? Teaches superstition. Teaches superstition. People think if you go like this to a guy, you do that to if you do that to one of the boats, they'll get terrified and they won't talk to you again. You know, they won't talk to you. You know. I told you, Linda said it in the wedding the other night. I'm standing with Linda and Eddie and Eddie's brother's wedding, and Eddie Mizrahi's the wedding. So it was very, very, very beautiful already, and it's filled with boats, right? Filled. The Boaves is all over the place, and it's super nice. So Linda learns, turns out to me, and there were how many people there? 1,500 people, 2,000 people. No, it was jammed. You were there? No, you were away. Yeah. So it was jammed. So Linda turns around and she tells him, "There's no boats here." She says, "There's only yachts." It was such a good line. Yes, this place is full of yachts. They're very wealthy, you know. And she says, Linda was involved when they came 30 years ago.
Yeah.
Very involved. Food, clothing, homes. It's amazing. She goes, "It could happen in 30 years." They're not just wealthy. They're a lot of super wealthy. A lot. Not some, a lot. It's amazing. But it's not a great line, yachts. It's a great line. I love it. So anyway, it's very funny. So so
Superstition.
so superstition. You do that to those people, they'll flip out. Superstition, they believe in those things, black magic, all the things. And we don't believe, and we don't see it, and it's never been seen, and nobody's ever proved it. that being the case, we only have these stories. So the Eliyahu story, we don't say that's what happened. We say that that's what God is telling him. He's not telling, God doesn't get angry at him for doing what he did, because he says everybody's dead. I did what I had to do.
He's not doing it for personal.
He's not
gain.
doing it for personal gain. He's not a carnival, a con man doing a thing to make money. He's doing it because the country's disintegrating, right? So I had to buy them into getting out of this insanity, right? And these crazy priests, Baal priests, right? So what happens? He's successful. It lasts for one day.
Yeah.
One day. The show was great. Sunday TV was on and it worked. And the next day, everybody went back to what they were. And he is completely dejected. And that's when God tells him, what are you doing here? And he tells him, I did this, I did that, a thing. And then what do I got to show for it? Nothing. So God tells him, that's the way it works. I'm not in there. I know, and I work with imperceptible actions that you can't see, meaning over time, right? Meaning over multi-generational work. And so when Elisha comes over, he's the opposite of his mentor. Elisha is Eliyahu's student, right? And he does a lot of the things that he also does CPR and saves the child, right? We know that he didn't bring the child back from the dead. The mother knew that when when something happened, the mother knew from Shunem, the Shunamite, who used to take care of him when he came to town, she knew he could save the child, and he does. And what he does is it's literally CPR, and he knows how to purify water. That's they have the town where all the water is spoiled, and again, that's like a Moshe story. He knows how to purify water, so he knows a lot about medical advances of the time. He knows about chemicals. He knows about a lot of things that he does. That said, everything that Elisha does is all very practical. One of the classic stories of that is when he's with the child, and there's the king of Aram, right, wants to attack Israel. So Elisha thwarts his action. I'll show you where that is, right? You could turn to, I'll tell you, I think it's in chapter 6. One second, there it is. In chapter 6, it says like this. Open up to chapter 6, verse 8. Umelech Aram hayan elham b'Yisrael. And the king of Aram, I'm skipping a lot of the stories that I'm going to backtrack to, but I only want to read you that one. Lee, if you could read in English, chapter 6, verse 8 and on. Just read it straight, just read it. Yeah, Kings 2, chapter 6, verse 8. You could just read it in English, because I only want to make one point. Welcome
home.
About time. Congratulations. Good to see you. Right. Okay.
While the king of Aram was waging war against Israel, he took counsel with his officers and said, I will encamp in such and such a place. But the man of God sent word to the king of Israel, take care not to pass through that place, for the Arameans are encamped there.
Right, so that he says he's going to be in a certain place. Elisha sends word to the king of Israel. Notice no name, the king of Israel, doesn't say who it is. And he says, he sends word to him, he's there, be careful, right? So the first question you have to ask is, how did Elisha know?
He doesn't even name the place.
Doesn't have to. It's just
No.
a story. Who cares? Such and such a place.
In the
Such
mountains.
in the mountains. There's a place where you get ambushed. Don't go there. And he warns them off. Good. How did Elisha know?
He sent scouts.
He had his own network. He had his own network. He was very, very competent, Elisha, right? Go ahead, continue.
So the king of Israel sent word to the place of which the man of God had told him. Time and again, he alerted such a place and took precautions there. Greatly agitated about this matter, the king.
He keeps doing it, and he keeps outfoxing the king of Aram in his attempts. Good. I'm in verse 11 now, right?
Right. Greatly agitated about this matter, the king of Aram summoned his officers and said to them, "Tell me, who of us is on the side of the king of Israel?"
He says the king is fully convinced there's a mole. There's a mole, because it's impossible for him to know what we're doing. So who's the traitor here? He doesn't even question. It's for sure there's a traitor. In verse 12.
No one, my lord king, said one of the officers. Elisha, the prophet of Israel, tells the king of Israel the very words you speak in your bedroom.
He knows what you speak about in your bedroom with your wife. It's an expression. It's an expression, right? This guy, he knows what you're talking about in your bedroom, right? In other words, we don't have a mole. He knows everything. So is that because Elisha is doing it with magic? Does Elisha have what do you call it? No, the electronic devices where he has it bugged, he has his place bugged? No.
So why is the text giving that implication?
1 second.
Okay.
I'm bringing it up for that reason. Don't ask the question.
What?
I'm asking you. What conclusion do they draw?
That there's magic involved.
Yeah. This guy knows what you're doing. They didn't have bugs. If they had bugs, say he has the palace bugged. He knew how to bug the palace. In today's time, you'd say that. But over there, he says, he knows what you're doing in your bedroom. Nobody knows what you're doing in your bedroom. No one hears what you're saying. He knows everything. Of course, it's not a reality. It's saying he knows everything that's going on. Is he's got clairvoyance, whatever you want to say.
Well, what's the real explanation?
The real explanation. The real explanation.
That's exactly not the answer.
That's what this conversation is about today. It took us only a half hour or more to get here.
Stay to the end.
Can I ask?
Yeah, you asked the question of this is what our session is about. These are the questions we're asking. Elisha, when he does that, when he tells the king, sends word to the king, be careful. This guy is located in such and such a spot. Or in this situation now, right? It's continuing, right? He's fully convinced the mole, but he didn't do any magic, Elisha. What does he do? So he sends, read.
Go find out where he is, he said, so that I can have him seized.
Get him, go grab him. He's the king. Go down into Israel, right? Go down from the north. This is from the north, Aram, right? Think of, North Israel. Go down. He sends his soldiers, send him, go get him. We're going to blow up and I'm going to kill the guy, and that'll be the end of the problem. Go ahead.
It was reported to him that Elisha was in Datan.
Dotan. Anybody know the place Dotan besides Avi B'tesh? Because Avi B'tesh like Hazid.
Yes.
That's right. That's right. Right? What when he's going to his brothers,
he sees a guy.
He sees a guy and he says, "Where are they located?" And he tells the guy, the no-name guy, says they're in Dotan. So what do they do?
He sent horses and chariots there and a strong force. They arrived that night and encircled the town.
That's it. They got him. They know where he is.
He's on the sea.
Horses, chariots. That means when you say horses and chariots in those days,
Yeah, tanks.
tanks surrounding the city. You're done. And he gets up and you can read it.
When the attendant of the man of God rose early and went outside, he saw a force with horses and chariots surrounding the town. Alas, master, what should we do? The servant asked him.
What are we going to do? There's two people. There's Elisha and the young man who's with him, like an assistant. He said, What do we do now?
Right, but they still call him Isha Elohim, not Elisha.
He's known as the man of God. He is the one called the man of God most in all of Tanakh,
Right.
right? He's always called Ish Elohim. Moshe is called Ish Elohim once in the Torah, right? In Vizot Berachah, exactly right. See the guys who read the Torah, they know everything, right? In Vizot Berachah, and Vayomer.
Have no fear, he replied. There are more on our side than on
Yeah.
theirs.
Moshe is called Ish Elohim, the 90th Mizmor.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. No, in the Torah, I said. There's only one time, right? Tevilah is 90. So now, in verse, if you look in verse 16, Vayomer al tira, kirabim asher itanu me'asher otam. You could.
There are more on our side than on theirs.
He tells the kid is standing next to him, and he says, "Don't worry, we got more guys on our side than on their side." So the kid looks down and goes, "There's
One,
There's
two.
tanks around the entire city. There are only two
One,
guys in
two.
town. 1, 2." So he goes, he's scared out of his, he's shivering. So he says, "Don't worry about it. There's more with us." And then it says, "Vayitparel Elisha v'yomar Adonai pikachna et enav." God, he prays, and he says, "God, open his eyes." The kid, open his eyes, right? And he sees, and he opens up the eyes of the young man. And he sees the mountain filled with tanks, I'll use that word, right? Tanks of fire, right? Up on the mountain, on the horizon, he sees chariots and horses of fire surrounding Elisha. He says, "Open his eyes." They're there, and that's what he prays for. Vayirdu elav. Go ahead.
The Arameans
Arameans
came down against him, and Elisha prayed to the Lord.
Vayitpalel Elisha al Adonai vayomar hachna et hagoy hazeh b'sanverim.
Strike these people with a blinding light.
Strike them with a binding light. Remember, by the way, there's a lot of light stories here because remember the mountains. He tells the kid, look around up, and he sees the chariots of fire. Now he says the Aramean force is coming in, and he says, strike them with blinding light, right? And in fact, he does.
God does
strike them
with blinding light, as Elisha had asked.
As Elisha had asked. Vayomer Elohim Elisha. Elisha, now listen carefully. The next verse says like this. They're surrounded, the troop comes in. Think of it as 200-300 people, right? In that time, a force, a few hundred, like a battalion.
400 is the number, yeah.
Yeah, 400. You're dead, you're finished.
Yeah,
with the chariots. The next thing is Elisha having a conversation with them. Vayomer Elohim Elisha. Elisha tells them, "Lo zeh haderech." This is not the way to go. V'lo zeh ha'ir. And this is not the city you're looking for. You remember the guy that meets Yosef and he says which way, and he gives him directions to go to Dotan? Now it's Elisha in Dotan. You're supposed to pick, you're smiling. It's the same, right? Now, but he gives the directions, right? Elisha says, now he's talking to guys. Who's he talking to? Dramatic. The battalion commander, who's there to shoot him, to kill him. With all these, they're there for one purpose: kill him, capture him. He's going to get tortured and killed, right? Or kill, whatever. So he says, this is not the way, and this is not the city. Lechu aharai, follow me. Ve'olicha etchem ela ish asher tebakeshun. And I'll take you to the guy you're looking for. He's standing in front of the guys who want to kill him. Just follow me. I'll take you where you want to go. And he takes them to Shomron. Shomron is the capital city of the north, right? It takes them to the main city where the main fortresses, the main armies, the main everything is. That's Israel has their power base, right? That's this. Think of it as the Jerusalem of the north, right? That's Shomron, right? When you say Judea and Samaria these days, Samaria, that's Shomron, right? Right. Vahi Kiboam Shomron. When they get to Shomron, Vayomer Elisha, Adonai Pikach et ine ele. He tells God, God, open their eyes. Remember, he said, open the kid's eyes, and the kid looks and he sees the chariots of fire. So now, in the narrative, Elisha says, God, open their eyes, right? And they see, God opens up their eyes. Yatni, he gives them ability to see because they were blinded by the light, right? They find themselves in the middle of Shomron. They're surrounded by the Israeli army, and they're finished. Even though they're very powerful, the entire Israeli army is now, you're in the capital city with the king and his army. The king, you notice he's called King of Israel, no name. This is no name because this is Mr. Incompetent himself, right? A total incompetent. He tells them, Kid Otam, when he sees them, should I smite them? Should I wipe them out? Father? He calls him Abi. Abi. Great honor he gives him, right? Should I kill them? Yeah, he's talking to Elisha. He's talking to Elisha. Should I kill them? Veyomed lo takeh. He tells him, no, don't kill them. You could wipe out anybody that you captured with your sword and your bow. Right? See that you can. These are my prisoners. They're not your. I brought them here. Right? You could read the English.
He said, no, do not. Did you take them captive with your sword and bow?
Right.
That you would strike them down?
Right. They're not. You didn't capture them. They're mine. They're mine. Sim lahim lehem v'mayim. Put them water and bread. You know who he's talking about? Who's he talking about?
The enemies.
Which kind of enemy?
Bad guys.
He's in Gaza,
Yes,
and he's got Hamas guys,
right.
and he says, "Are they your captives? They're mine. Give them bread and water. Put it before them. Vayuchlu vayishtu, and they eat and they drink. Vayuchlu adonahim, and they go back to their master, to their leader, right? To their leader. Vayichrei lahim kera gedulah, vayuchlu vayishtu, vayishalachem vayalchu adonahim." Read it now in English because it's worth hearing the English.
So he prepared a lavish feast for them, and after they had eaten and drunk, he let them go. And they returned.
V'lo yasifu od gedudei Aram labo be'eretz Yisrael.
The Aramean band stopped invading the land of Israel.
That's it. That was the end of Aramean bands coming into Israel. Because when these are the bands, not the military army of Aram. These are the bands. These are like the terrorist groups or attacking groups, militias, right? They never came back after the story. Why didn't they come back? That guy, we were dead. He gave us food, he gave us water, fed us, and sent us home. We were dead. Go attack him. We're not attacking him. And later on, when he dies, it says, as long as he was in his entire lifetime, no bands ever attacked Israel throughout his entire lifetime. Exactly. We got to the end of the story, so I could say this. When you know that no bands ever attacked Israel again after this incident, what did Elisha use? What do we call that? Strategy. Diplomacy. He says, they're not yours, they're mine. They know who Elisha is. The very guy you sent us to, that guy, we were dead. He
traveled together. He could have killed him at any time.
It's done. He saved. He not only he didn't kill us, they served us food and drink and sent us home and go home. So, did he use miracles? Not at all.
What?
The story is telling you he didn't use miracles, Elisha. They were dead. He says, don't kill them. They go back home and they never return again as long as he was alive.
What do you mean he didn't use miracles? He's asking for this guy's the flashing lights and blindness and.
I'm asking you a question, not that part of the story. I'm asking you, why does it tell you he fed them? It tells you the heart of the story. He's about to kill them. Don't kill them. They go back and they never attack again. It says, never did they attack again. It's clear. The reason they never attack is because
They have,
I'm not going to go after this guy. This guy said, we're crazy. This guy had us dead and he didn't. I'm not going to go kill that guy. We're not killing that guy.
He showed us mercy.
Showed us mercy.
We throw a big party for all these Gaza people and the Hamas and we're good? That solves the problem?
No. We're not going to kill him. He let us go. We're not killing him.
Got it.
The military over there is going to continue to fight and try to wipe out Israel. Those guys, he ends up, you can't think of them really like Hamas. You have to understand. I only use that as an example. Those guys are trained from youth to do ethnic cleansing. These guys are not trained to do ethnic cleansing of Israel. These guys are mercenaries. Go kill this guy for us. Okay, they're a troop. They're a thing. They're powerful. They come back. We're never going in. You're not getting us to go in. This guy, you can't pay us, right? They're not on ethnic cleansing trips. Of course, I only use that to say they're out to kill him. After they got him, they're going back up north and tell him we got rid of him, right?
They have a vengeance in them. If you see they come in the dark at night, they don't know, and then they see the light and they see what kind of people and things like that. And this is they have the compassion.
Okay, so I'm saying,
I'm
I'm
Going
saying,
after a guy, you should know what he looks like so that when you come face to face with him, you don't. What does it tell me? Oh no, follow me. I'm going to take you to the guy you're looking for.
Told them,
They
I'm
have
not the
baseball
guy,
cards.
and then when
I'm
he
not
told
the guy.
They don't have baseball cards to know what he looks like.
If you're out
Yeah,
to
I
go
get
get
you.
somebody,
How you know
you should know what he looks like.
How?
Especially
How?
Elisha Elohim, everybody knows him.
What
Supposedly.
it looks like.
You Google his picture.
I
Exactly.
don't know. Something weird here.
what's weird over
They
here,
don't know who he is. That
What's
he's saying, "Oh, come."
what's weird over here is that in fact they do not know who he is. In fact, he can fool them. And he did fool
I'm
them.
not the guy you're looking for.
I'm not the guy you're looking for. The guy's over there.
That's
I
easy.
know the guy.
That's easy.
They I know the guy.
So he
These aren't the
basically
droids
showed them how misinformed or ill-informed or whatever they were. And they're like, okay, that's it. We're not,
Not going to go after guy who saved our life. He's surrounded by the king, and is in the center. He's in the main center of the power base of the nation. And he says, "I'm going to kill them all right now." And he says, "Send them home." But he doesn't only send them home; he feeds them first. Feeds them. They go back and say, "It's good." You called. Somebody said mercenaries. We're not going back.
Makes sense.
And it lasts for the rest of us.
And I said, come, I'm gonna go give you a hamburger.
We don't do
I'll
that.
buy you a burger. And that's it.
I'm not doing that.
That's it. You're good.
And as long as he was alive, which was let's say another 40, 50, a long time, they never came back. The king of Aram could never get the mercenaries to go back.
Also, they could have been afraid of him because he toys with them. He's so powerful,
Yeah.
all-seeing. He
Could
had him in
be.
his hands to let him go. I'm not afraid of you. I'll give
Could
you
be.
food."
And they saw the light of
Could be.
But what do you think of the Shomron
It's a
for?
fire.
Huh?
What was the whole point of going to Shomron?
Well, that's his capital city. That's where the power base is.
I had you dead. I had
Right.
you dead.
Right. You were dead.
Yeah.
You were dead. You were not some a fort outside. No, you were in the power base of the entire nation. You're not getting out of here. You're
Totally
dead.
ambushed.
You're dead in a
ambushed.
second. You're
You got out
surrounded.
of here because of me.
That's it. That's it. And they know that. They know that. So I see him using strategy. There's another story. Now we'll backtrack to that, another story. Naaman is a king. What time is it? We have to end.
8:45.
Yeah, okay, we have 17 minutes to end the class. We can do it fast. Naaman is, we won't read it inside. Naaman is general of the army, right? Right?
Leprosy.
And Naaman has leprosy. They capture a Jewish girl that works in his house, a Jewish girl who's a maid in the house, where Naaman in Naaman's house, Naaman the general. She hears him. She knows he's got the sarat. He's got a skin disease, and she tells him there's a great man who lives in Israel, and he can heal you from your sarat. Right? The Naaman, he's the general of the Aramean armies, the Aramean army. So the king sends word to Israel to heal that he's coming. So when he comes, the king of Israel flips out, right? Because he sends word to the king of Israel. He thinks, what are we going to do? We're in trouble, etc., etc. They get the thing, and he says, here, I want you to take Naaman, and I want you to heal him from his sarah. So when the king reads this, he tears his clothes. This is a king no name. And what am I, God? He says, what am I, God? To bring people to kill people and bring them back to life, because he's sending to me to heal this guy from his sarat, right? He's coming to get me. It's a ruse. So when Elisha hears that, he says, when he hears that he went into mourning the king, he tells the king of Israel, what are you tearing your clothes for? What's with you? Right? Let him come to me. Let the general come to me. I'll take care of him.
Which was the first thing was mentioned, that she should go to him. The girl told him there's a man who goes, it's Elisha.
Yeah, and he says, what are you getting crazy? Let him come to me. I'll take care of him. To make the story short, Naaman comes to the door. He doesn't go to the door. It's getting low. It's going to go any minute now. He gets to Elisha's house. He knocks on the door. Elisha don't come to the door. He says, tell him. He sends word. He don't even come out. He's the general of the army. He's one of the biggest guys in the whole country. He says, tell him to go to Jordan and dip 7 times. Take a dip. Naaman flips out, leaves. He's going back, and he's like on the horse, and he's riding, and his second in command tells him, listen,
Might as well.
we're here now. We came all the way from Aram. What's the big deal? Let's take a dip. Take a dip. Okay, so take a dip. How bad could it be? Right? Because Naaman is furious. He says, I have to dip over here. We have the greatest rivers in the world,
Right.
where we are, and they do. Right? Tigris or Euphrates. I have to come dip here in the Jordan. The Jordan's a little puny nothing. So he tells him, look, we're here. Go take a dip. What's the big deal? So he goes
in. Good line. He tells him, if he gave you something difficult to do, that would have been better. He gave you something, it takes you 2 seconds.
Exactly. Just go take a dip and finish. The whole thing is 2 seconds. So he goes, takes it, comes out, it's better.
How about that?
He's better. comes to Elisha, and he tells him, I know your God is the true God. I got to go back home. I have to sit there next to the king. They do worship to their foreign God, but I know that your God is the true God. Okay. The stories go on like this. Question to the table now. We only have a few minutes left, but I gave you enough of a picture of what I'm working on these days. Did Naaman, in this second story, the other story, there's plenty of room, Sammy, for strategy. Plenty of room to say that he strategized, right?
It wasn't a miracle.
Whatever Senveri means, right? Whatever Senveri means, but you see that the core of the story is strategy, and the core of what he did is explained as, because it says, as long as he was alive, the troops, the bands never came back. That means right after they came back means his strategy worked, right? Mm-hmm. Not a miracle, strategy. In this story with Elisha, with Elisha and Naaman, is it Mars? Is it magic?
No.
Mara says it's not. I don't think it's magic either. What do you think it is?
He had an idea about how to solve this problem.
I think he had an idea. I think well, just like with Eliyahu, he was brilliant. He was brilliant, not brilliant. You know what? You talk a prodigy. Elisha is of another order. He also studied medicine, also studied chemistry, also knew a lot of things. And he had an approach, send them to me, I'll take care of them. When he said that, you think he said, send them to me, I'll take care of them, I know how to do miracles? Do you think that that's what he meant? Morris says, no. I say, for sure he didn't mean that. For sure he didn't mean that.
No, to them it was.
To them, yeah, to them it was. To him, he knows that he had some kind of approach. I look at all the stories, like we're talking about now, all of them the same way. It's never a miracle. It's always strategy. He knew, Elisha, that the king of Israel was a loser, a total loser. And he had his own network of spies. That's why I told him the king's coming, because he's an incompetent. He's a true incompetent. And that's why he prays, right? When the thing happens, he prays, God, you know how I think of Elisha when he's with the young guy and they're coming to get him? God, please help me get through this one. And he comes up with a strategy to handle it. He comes up with a miracle. I don't think anybody ever came up with a miracle for any of these stories.